Guys, I thought I would just make this video just for you guys out there on the planet that are feeling the same thing I'm feeling, that are seeing the hypocrisy of the Western media, the hypocrisy of the Westerners, of the Americans, of the Europeans. They're very hypocritical, extremely hypocritical. Why? Well, and they're contradictory as well. Very contradictory. So many things, oh my God, so many things for me to talk about. I can't even begin because I have so many things that I need to talk about. Now, the war in Ukraine is a multifaceted, complex issue that you can't really talk about in one video. So I'm not even going to try to explain the whole conflict, but I'm going to give you guys a little summary. Now, what is the reason Putin and the Russian Federation is attacking Ukraine right now? This is day 11. What is it? 24th of February is when they attacked. 7 plus 7, 14 days. So 14 days in. They're 14 days in. This is the 14th day now. It's 12 o'clock. So it's the 14th day already. It's literally the 14th day right now. It's the 14th day right now. And the Western media is telling us that the Russians are losing the war. They're getting pushed back by the Ukraine army. The Russians are not going to win. They're losing the war. The Ukrainians are going to somehow win. I mean, if they win, good on them. But I just don't, I have a hard time believing anything the media says. Because they've lied so many times. They've lied so many times. So many things they've lied about. The narrative that they've tried to switch. For example, look at how the Western media reacted to the refugees in Ukraine that were not white, that were not Ukrainian, that were black. The Nigerian refugees, the Indian refugees. Look at how the Western media painted those refugees in Ukraine. They painted them as black. Well, they're black, but they painted them as uncivilized, third world countries, inhuman dogs, like animals. There was a guy on a train that was trying to go to Poland, a black man. He was trying to go to Poland, some Nigerian guy. He was trying to go to Poland to leave and flee from the conflict in Ukraine. And the Ukrainian people, I don't know who it was exactly, probably the border guards, they told them, the guy came into the train, he was holding a pistol, and he put the pistol to the Nigerian guy's head and told him, get the fuck out the train, or I'm finna pull the trigger and I'm gonna kill you. Of course he left because he's scared for his own life. He wants to live, and I find it so despicable, man, the way they're being treated over there. And then everyone is talking about how the Ukrainians, the poor Ukrainians, but they're treating other people like animals. And I get it. I kind of get it, in a war, like there's a war going on. Of course, you're going to try to save the people that are Ukrainian, that look like you. It's a war. It's life and death. Like, they're not going to let the Africans jump onto that train because they are worried about their people first. They're worried about, it's called tribalism. Maybe it's not racism, it's tribalism. If there's a limited amount of resources, then all of the resources are going to go to the citizen of the country first, and then the refugees from different areas are going to be told to fuck off and fend for themselves, which is, I find that morally reprehensible, in my opinion. I think it's disgusting. I think it's very, very just disgusting and despicable. But, it is what it is, man. Like, even now, the Nigerians that are trying to go fight in Ukraine are being forced to pay $1,000. They have to apply for a visa and jump through hoops just to go over there. Which I don't understand why they want to go over there. They want to go over there and fight because they're saying, "Oh, we're trying to defeat enemy, evil." Like, if there was a war in Nigeria, you think the Europeans would fly over there to fight? They don't give a fuck about you, man. These Europeans don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about me. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about any of us. I get it. Like, it's tough, man. Like, the thing is, when you look at the situation, black people don't trust each other at all. I mean, I don't trust some black people. I mean, I don't trust some white people. I don't trust people in general. So it's not a color thing for me. But then when you look at it, when you contrast the situation to Ukraine, the Ukrainian people are very close, well-knitted, supportive. Even the Indians that were stuck in Ukraine, they got flown out by their government. They send them down to fucking Ukraine. They took them out. They flew them out. Flew them back to India. But the Nigerian government didn't care. They said, hey, you're on your own. You're on your own, guys. Stay down there. Do whatever you want. What? Are you serious? And then if you look at how the conflict developed in Ukraine, it's like, okay, a bunch of... Now, when did NATO begin? I don't know the exact date. But NATO begins, they start, and it was a defensive alliance because of the Warsaw Pact, which was the states that were aligned with the Soviet Union. And then the border, the East Germany was Soviet Union, West Germany was, and everything beyond that, all the way to France, was part of NATO. And then Soviet Union fell, and then NATO started to expand beyond the eastern border of Germany. And then they started to become NATO. Baltic states, NATO. Poland, NATO. Bulgaria, NATO. Hungary, NATO. Romania, NATO. Romania was a little bit later, but then NATO. Slovakia, I don't know if they're NATO, but who knows. All those countries joined NATO. And, all the meanwhile, the Westerners were reassuring Russians that, the US... NATO actually said that NATO would not expand past the border of East Germany. But honestly, I don't understand the whole point. Honestly, the Soviet Union was dissolved. Who are the Western... Who is NATO fighting if the Soviet Union was dissolved? They're fighting Russia, of course. It's a defensive alliance against Russia. I mean, this is obvious. Everybody knows this. It's not something that I'm saying that's new or anything crazy. Like, everybody knows this. NATO is primarily a defensive force against Russia. That's the only reason that they exist, is to defend against Russia. But Russia's not expanding. Russia's not really expanding their territory. Okay, they attacked Ukraine in 2014, but before that, who did they attack? Georgia, Chechnya, blah, blah, but they never really expanded their border past anywhere. And then if you contrast that, and then let's compare it to the Cuban Missile Crisis. What was the problem there? The problem was that the Americans felt threatened that the Russians, the Soviet Union, sent ballistic missiles, to Cuba, which the missiles had the potential to reach the mainland of the United States. They felt threatened. When you're a country, a sovereign nation, you have to feel safe. It's not okay for you to be not under any direct attack. You have to feel safe. It's the feeling of it. You have to feel like you're protected, that you're not in danger, that you're not threatened. The Russians feel threatened. I don't know by what or what's threatening them, but I do believe that there's neo-Nazis in Ukraine. Why do I believe that there's neo-Nazis in Ukraine? Why do I believe this? Because they're not letting black people onto the train. That means they're kind of racist. And no one was talking about the shelling of the Luhansk and the Donetsk and the Donbass for 8 years since 2014. Because a lot of people don't know this, but the Ukrainians were shelling and attacking the Luhansk and Donetsk republics for 8 years. No one cares about this. No one talks about that. I mean, I mean, do I think that the Russian Federation attacking the Ukraine is a is a good thing? No, I don't think so. I find war to be morally reprehensible because it kills people, costs billions of dollars, it costs lives, the most important thing, and yeah, I think it's reprehensible. I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's a terrible thing. But do I think that the Western media is telling you guys the truth? And no, they're not, man. They're lying to you. They're lying to you. They're all lying to you. All of them are lying to you because, what? And then people are gonna say, "Oh, are you lying to us too? How can we trust you?" Well, I don't really have a stake in the game. I'm not part of the media. I'm not part of Putin's Russia. I'm not part of the Western media. I'm like an outside influence. But really, I think people are just going to identify with people who look like them, which is the reason why most people are not going to watch this video. Most people are not going to see this video. Most people don't care about what I have to say because they don't identify with me. That's the thing. Like, it's just the way the world works. It's very cold and it's very cold, harsh. Reality is very cold and harsh. It's not all roses and fucking fairies and all that shit. It's not. Unless you're white. I mean, I'm just fucking about with you guys. I don't really believe that much. I mean, but let's be real. There's real advantages to skin color. The shade of your skin color is gonna get you to certain places faster than others. That's reality. Like, people say, when people tell you they don't see color, you got to look at that with a side eye and think to yourself, all right, I got to keep an eye on this person. I got to keep my eyes on you, buddy. I got to keep my eyes on you. I got to keep my eyes on you, buddy. I got to watch you for a few seconds because when they tell you that they don't see color, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's the biggest crock of shit I've heard in my life. Why? Why is it the biggest crock of shit that you heard in your life, man? Well, because the first thing they see is your color when they look at you, if they're not colorblind. And to be honest, most people care about color because when you get married to someone else, most of the time, people like to marry within their own race. Which is okay. That's not racist. That's 100% fine. That's normal. That's just how things work. But Russia. Well, it's a tough world out there, man. What do I think is gonna happen? Well, so far the Russians have advanced pretty far into Ukrainian territory. They've advanced from Crimea up to Mariupol. They're besieging Chernihiv. They've encircled it. They're attacking other regions too, and they took over like a bunch of states. And they haven't completely secured the Luhansk and Donetsk republics. But honestly, like, how are you going to control all of that territory with the limited amount of troops that Putin has at his disposal? And then the effects of sanctions too. That's going to be interesting. A lot of people talk about how sanctions are going to devastate the Russian economy, but to be honest, they're the main supplier of oil and gas. And Russia's the second biggest supplier of crude oil on the planet. So honestly, I think if let's break it down. I think if the Russians cut off that supply of oil and gas to the European Union and to Ukraine, it's going to cause a lot of issues for them. Because apparently right now, I looked it up, it says 45% of EU gas imports come from Russia. A third of it altogether is coming from Russia, gas altogether. So how are they going to deal with this? What are they going to do? They have to supply with America or something? Russia? Well, they can't do Russia anymore. There's no other major supplier in Europe outside of Russia. You have to go to the Middle East and build a pipeline through Turkey or something. But all of that, I mean, what are you gonna do now? What do you do now? Yeah, because everything is fucked. I mean, the crude oil prices are gonna go up to 10 bucks per gallon. It's gonna go up even more. The European markets are gonna crash because there's gonna be a trickle effect. You see, when the Russian economy collapses, then the other economies will also collapse that are dependent on the gas. And then if you look at the European, well, the stronger countries like Germany are going to survive. They'll be fine. The Netherlands, they'll be fine. France is going to feel it very hard. Spain's going to feel it very hard. What do you call it? Italy's going to feel it very hard. All those other poor countries that are also on the border with Russia, Romania, they're going to feel the effects. Poland's going to feel the effects. The Baltic states are going to feel the effects. No one is safe. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe, which is bad for a lot of us. It's bad for all of us. But, you know, it's just, you know, it's life. I think we need to do something to try and stop the war, but we also need to tell the truth. Stop lying to people, guys. But anyways, I'm out. Peace.